G'day, Mr. Tim Wilkinson. How you doing?
I'm pretty good. It's good to be here with
Yeah, lovely, lovely. So I've got you here today to talk about a whole bunch of performance factors. I would like to introduce everyone to our new highest, our highest performance coach at Auden's Golf Performance, and I'm super stoked to have you on board. But we're going to talk about your career, your highlights. We're going to dive into your professionalism over a number of years on tour for certain things. So
Sounds good.
yeah, I suppose for those people who don't know who Tim Wilkinson is, give me a brief snapshot of who Tim Wilkinson is.
All right, so I'm Tim Wilkinson. I am 40, what am I, 47 years old. I have played either the Corn Ferry Tour or the PGA Tour over about a 21-year span. So starting in, I guess well, 2005 was my first full year on the Corn Ferry Tour, but 2004 I kind of played a half schedule. I came over to the United States from New Zealand and
We won't
did.
hold that against you.
Oh yeah, yeah. My mother is Australian, so
Good stuff.
I know
You
you'd
have
like that half of me.
to.
But yeah, so I came over and to the United States in 2004. Did a whole lot of Monday qualifying, got in events, had top tens, and ended up getting conditional status that year. But yeah, I'm from New Zealand, as you know, and yeah, I came over. It was always a dream to play professional golf, and in the United States on the PGA Tour, and I fulfilled that dream.
Yeah, nice
I
work.
didn't fulfill the dream, unfortunately, of winning on the PGA Tour, but
I
21 years was a long time.
Yeah, I mean it's a lot of time just constantly, beating it out there. And obviously like there's some extraordinary professional careers, without winning. That's like yours, which is, very, very positive
Yeah,
because it is at the highest level, performing your craft that you've taken many years to perfect, right? And so you're on the highest tour that there is. You've been performing at a high degree for 21 years. What's that like in relation to what you've seen from the early days to what your last years were on tour?
oh, the change has been pretty great, I would
Yep.
say, from when I first started playing on tour, and the lack of not professionalism, but the lack of integrating, as we're in this business here, but fitness and overall having a team you're surrounded by, whether it be physiotherapist, strength and conditioning, golf coach, mental coach, all sorts of things. Yeah, I think you see a lot more of that now than when I first started playing professional golf, especially, early on in Australia and New Zealand playing professional
Yeah.
golf. That wasn't really a thing and still isn't really a thing. And it's a lot to do with money and the amount
Yep.
of money that each tour has and that players play for and the amount of sponsorship, endorsement money and things like that. So definitely over the years, just that part of the that part of the game within a game has definitely just increased exponentially.
And we talk about access, right? So, like, obviously, it wasn't necessarily a known thing. Team sports probably had it just because they were able to provide it. But even then, not everyone utilized it the same way in that regard. So, you didn't have necessarily all that access to, a multidisciplinary approach to performance. So, you did well with what you had. And then gradually over the years, you started to see different people on tour, providing different services to where we are now, where you've got full integrated teams in and around one athlete, and it's awesome. It's great. It's obviously provided me with a job for a while, and which is awesome, and I hope it continues to do so. But it's one of those things that like you definitely have now probably almost too much access to different things. You could have 20 people in your team if you wanted to. So
Yeah,
is there a line that you draw, like where you've got your main components, or is it something that like different people need different things? What did you need early that you wish you had? What did you need later that you had? And
I think, from a planning point of view, if I was starting now, I would definitely have a team around me. Maybe take a little bit more of the questioning, whether you're going down the right path on different things, whether it be your body or mentally, whether you're going down the right road. I think that some players, though, will like the team to collaborate behind the scenes and then tell them what to do. Other players will like to be fully versed in what's happening. I was probably more on that line. I like to know exactly what was going, why I'm doing certain things. Um, and I think that's important to figure out what type of player you have and whether they want just to be told what to do, just hit 10 7-irons with a fade at this pin on the right, whether, and not really question why. That could be a game plan thing from someone that does your, what would you call it, statistician type game plan.
Yeah, the tactical sort of management. Yeah.
Tactical coach that you may have in your team. Why am I practicing these 30-foot putts? Well, it's because at this golf course, putting from this range and avoiding 3 putts is extremely important at this event, and you're going to have a lot of approach putts from there just based on firmness of green, green speeds and things like that.
Holding the greens and stuff.
Yeah, there are a lot of aspects you try to take on. Over the years, I've taken on a lot of things. I probably took too much on myself and tried to find my own answers a lot more than trusting others. But trust is a little bit of an issue to me. So yeah, yeah.
I think you get golfers too that have caddies that will just be like, just tell me where to hit it, how hard to hit it, just give me a number, give me a line, and sort of get out of the way after that.
And you say that this is my first tour event as a PGA Tour member. I played in the final group on Sunday with KJ Choi, and at the time his caddy guided him through the entire round of golf, and I was amazed. It was KJ, this is a 5-iron with a fade starting at this tree to this point, and the whole round went like that, and KJ just followed the orders and went on to win, and I kind of went backward a little bit down the leaderboard, but it was a great experience, especially early on. And that, we're going to probably talk about highlights, but honestly, for me, early on in my career as a PGA Tour member, to get in the final group on Sunday and gave me just confidence that I can get amongst the leaders. I can do this.
Yeah.
And that was a huge learning point and gave me a lot of belief as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think for any professional, you obviously want to be in the mix always. It definitely seems that with all the golfers that we're around all the time, it's like, the interest wanes, when they're not necessarily in a position to attack on Sunday. But at the same time, if you get a sniff, it's like, oh, you're always there, and you're beaten down the door kind of thing.
Yeah, I was always a pretty big grinder. I didn't have some of the talent that some of the other guys, that in my peers did. I didn't quite have the speed, the clubhead speed. I wish I knew what I know now. I swing it faster now than I did in 2007, 2008. But just really working on things that are going to help your game. That's about it.
You are one of the more consistent players, I would say. You've had a very, good upbringing in being consistent, doing all the right things, checking all the boxes, making sure that you're doing everything that you can do to make sure that you perform. And obviously that's, a sign of a really good, consistent career over a number of years. Is there anything that you would say that sort of stood out for you, being consistent, making sure you're hitting those sessions, or spending way more time doing short game versus beating balls on the range, or is it the combination of everything?
I have pretty high energy, so I was able to do all those things while still being. I'm a great sleeper.
Yeah.
Was able to recover, so I could kind of cover all the bases without getting fatigued. And I come from a little bit of I used to run 8 and 1500 meters, so pretty good endurance, which is probably why they lack clubhead speed, right? But I just felt like probably a little OCD as well. If I didn't hit all these boxes, then I would feel underprepared. So I made sure I did all the things that were required. And I think that's one of the, you talk to amateurs and they really think that they're, professionals feel the same day in, day out, but we don't.
No.
We feel different every day. But as long as you can, from an early point, I recognized that if I did the same routine prior to going to hit a golf ball, whether it be mobility work, muscle activation, could be jog, could be running, whatever it is, to get the blood flowing and my body to feel as close to normal as possible every day, I would have more consistent results.
Yeah.
Just through my swing would feel more consistent day in, day out. I would feel like when I hit my first ball, I was ready to go. So that was something that I've always done, and probably helped me along the way as well.
Yeah, definitely. Did you have to change your game in and around now, swinging faster than what you were, or it just helped
No, I
you in a
still drive
certain?
it pretty
Yeah,
pretty much as straight. I just kind of changed some of the timing of my forces,
yeah,
and also just try to lengthen, my backswing through mobility work and things like that.
yep,
Yeah.
yep. Decent. And so now you sort of said you wish you had the information now that you have back then. What are you speaking about specifically?
So I've done a little bit of work with Michael Jacobs up in New York, who's Jacobs 3D. I did some work with him after coming back from knee surgery, and learnt a lot about ground force reaction, and obviously with gears here in the studio, just understanding where the outlier, where standard deviations and averages are in movement, and where you should be, that the best players in the world do, and are you within those parameters,
Yeah.
and how can that help your game, help you improve? Um, there's also a lot of things that I've learned from you just in the last month, and some of the training that I did, which probably didn't help me in the long run.
Yeah.
Like, had I done more, cyclic training, go strength, power, speed, I was always worried about, and part of the OCD, as I just mentioned, is like trying to maintain my strength the whole time, trying to maintain my power, but really not understanding that you need to go through those cycles to just keep improving and
Yeah, and I think that's a fun thing about like periodization in anything. Your periodization in golf practice, periodization in strength and conditioning is that if you're working on something, some other things aren't going to be as tip top.
and that's, as a
Yeah,
golfer, that's
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 yeah,
really, really difficult, because we play so often, we
yeah,
want to perform every week, and when you don't adhere to doing one thing and you're going to a different thing, even though you played really well doing this one thing,
yeah.
it's a really difficult thing to get across.
Especially from a time management point of view, where you're like, okay, I've got 30 hours or 40 hours a week that you're going to practice. If I just hit all the same practice session times, it's got no relation of output. So, like, if you're just hitting those hours, just beating balls, it could be improving, you could be, detraining in a certain way, you could be not necessarily doing as consistent work as possible, or the quality of work goes down just because you're just getting through it. But if you pay attention to, half the volume and increase the intensity, make sure all your pre-shot routines go through, or, make sure that the work that you do in the gym is nice and tight, and that you're not on your phone, you're not talking to people, you're meeting what's supposed to be designed for you in a certain way, then it's like the quality overcomes whatever amount of volume you were going to do.
Yeah, 100%. And like that's what we're trying to do here at Audens, is measure, not guess.
Yeah.
So when you're measuring all these things and compiling all this data, you have a good idea. Am I improving? Am I heading down the right direction?
It's such a difficult equation, right? Like,
It
we've
really
got
is.
obviously access to some really good tech in here. I wish we had a lot more. And we've got the ability to sort of plan, in different ways, but there's always more that we could do, and there's always more information that we could gather. And
There really aren't enough hours in the day to do everything and tick every single
yeah,
box. So it's getting the biggest bang for the buck out of what you're doing.
it's almost like that's what we have more nowadays, is the ability to analyze what is the biggest value. Or, we could also get paralysis by analysis with the amount of stuff that we can look at. But I think when a lot of golfers come out of university now, and they're like, spend a couple of years on Corn Ferry and hit the PGA Tour or the Live Tour or whatever tour they're sort of moving towards, they've already got a really good picture about how they move physically. They've got a good picture about how they practice, or the quality of the schedule that they're on, and they can foresee these things and plan a little bit better. Whereas I think back in the day, when I say back in the day, like prior to sort of 17, 18, I suppose, it was very difficult, because it was more or less like you didn't really have access to that information, and the information was, from the universities, may not necessarily have been up to par like what it is now. But I think overall, like, the amount of information we have now is awesome. The amount of implementation of good strategies is awesome. So, had you had your time over again, or even now, it's like you can make those adjustments based on evidence-based approaches.
Yeah, so when you look at all that information, all it's doing is shortening the timeline of you becoming a good golfer. There was a lot of trial and error. Like I think I told you, a few weeks ago when I first started, there was not really good enough video. There might have been, 16 frames a second,
Yeah.
which, for a golf swing, I remember I don't know, it must have been about 2008 getting a camera that had 1,000 frames a second and seeing things in slow motion
It's
is.
insane. Yeah.
But even at that point, being my coach in New Zealand, I would have to take a video, download it onto my computer, send it, and then with the time difference, I might not hear from him until the
Yeah.
afternoon the next day
Yeah.
on what I should be doing. So information and just how quickly we can obtain that information through whether it be gears that we have in the studio through there or force plates. I mean, there's things you could not learn when I first started playing, or even into the mid early 2000s.
Yeah.
So
It's.
it's
I think I told you the other day. Gary Barter, who's Matty Jones's coach, he was talking to me the other day about how they used to look at force back in the day with two different scales.
I had this conversation
Yeah.
with Gary. Yeah,
Yeah.
two
And
bathroom
two
scales.
bathroom scales, yeah. And so he would, obviously move into the trail leg, to load up the backswing, and he would push down on that force and just see what the
Yeah,
little,
he would video
yeah,
how the scale moved. Yeah,
yeah. And then, down in transition, how he would slide and just move
yeah,
weight from right to left and see
yeah.
what that would do on the scale side of things. So that was sort of like the initial days. It was sort of,
It's what you had to do, right? Like
yeah,
it's like the
you do the best job you
pressure
can.
boards. You just
Yeah,
have a board with a piece of dowel down the middle and see if you're moving pressure appropriate times. I mean,
yeah,
it's better than nothing.
yeah. And now we've got these, $45,000 bloody swing cat
Exactly,
units that tell us everything about everything. And,
exactly. Yeah,
force is obviously extremely
yeah.
important, as we
But
well
again, all
know. And
that's doing is
yeah,
shortening the timeline for your ability to improve. And you go back to the 80s and anything prior to probably 2005, you didn't see as many players at an elite level as young because it was a lot more trial and error, and that timeline was much longer to self-organize and become a good golfer through trial and error and produce a shot pattern. It wasn't even till TrackMan that we knew proper ball flight laws.
yeah, yeah,
So those things have definitely helped, and in most sports, like you have tennis players mature pretty early. I would expect to start to see this, more and more of the same thing in golf.
yeah.
I think just the training now and the technology is now catching up with the game of golf, where it was there with a lot of other sports.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's amazing because golf has really advanced in a lot of ways with the technology that we have, but we're still so far behind in a lot of other areas, like, like having the teams around them and stuff like that. It seems to have only been a thing in and around a golfer, over the last
Yeah,
sort
and
of,
as that money has just become greater and greater on the
yeah,
PGA Tour, and now have elite events
yep,
at $20 million, and then you got live events,
yeah,
$25 million a week. I mean,
yeah,
it's a no-brainer
yeah,
not to have a team around you to help you take a big chunk of
100%.
that.
Try and make it as best it can be. Next chapter for you. Obviously, I'm thrilled to have you here at Audin's Golf Performance, but I know that it's not too far away in and around the corner. That it might be that we'll probably lose you to the Champions Tour. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I'm going to try to. They got rid of Q School, which is going to make my pathway a little bit more difficult. But you can still, at the moment, still go out and Monday qualify. So just trying to keep my game in order, keep my body in good working order, and see if I can keep improving using some of the tech we have here.
Yeah, 100%.
Use some of the people that we have here. Jacob Ivanich, the physio, see if he can help me with some mobility and strengthening some joints and
Yep.
ranges of motion, things like that.
You
So
might be asking a lot there, buddy.
yeah, just asking for small miracles.
Small miracles, yeah. We talked about the 1%ers, right?
Exactly. But any sort of improvement that will be just barely above where I am
Yeah.
now, I think I'll be in pretty good shape at 50. I'm in pretty good
100%.
shape at 47. So
As we saw the other day by you hitting right-handed, I'm sure you
yeah,
can compete on
exactly.
tour with a right-handed swing.
No, I don't know about
Bloody
compete.
left-handed swing. That was insane. We might wrap it up there.
Okay.
Thank you very much for your time, mate.
Thank you.
Looking forward to seeing you more here in this week.
Yeah. Thanks,
Talk to you
Nick.
soon.